Call the meeting of Monday, May the 13th to order. If the clerk will please take the roll.
Councilmember Archibald.
Here.
Councilmember Ashford.
Present.
Councilmember Beeden.
Here.
Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Councilmember Pemberton.
Here.
Councilmember Warden.
Here.
Mayor Rep.
Here. You have the minutes from the meeting from April 22nd. Is there a motion to receive and file?
So move.
Councilmember Ashford, is there a second?
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, is there any changes to those minutes? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes will stand as presented. And we do have one presentation tonight, if the clerk will please read it.
Proclamation observing the week of May 12th through the 18th, 2019 as Police Week and May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day will be presented to Police Chief Joseph Platzer.
If Chief Platzer would like to join me right up here at the podium. I'll read it and then you can say a few words. Whereas the Congress and President John F. Kennedy signed Public Law 87-726 in 1962, designating May the 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week beginning on Sunday in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. And whereas the law was amended by the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act of 1994, Public Law 103-322, signed by President William Jefferson Clinton, directing that the flag of the United States be displayed at half-staff on all government buildings on May 15th each year. And whereas the members of the Port Huron Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the city of Port Huron by unceasingly providing a vital public service. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency, and that members of our law enforcement agency recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the Port Huron Police Department will honor Detective Sergeant Roy Shamblew, who was killed in the line of duty on October the 10th, 1930, and all officers who have sacrificed their lives in the line of duty by wearing black mourning bands for a 48-hour period beginning Wednesday, May 15th, 2019. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Pauline M. Rapp, call upon citizens of the city of Port Huron and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 12th through the 18th, 2019, as Police Week, with appropriate ceremonies and observances in which all our citizens may join in commemorating law enforcement officers past and present who, by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities, have rendered a dedicated service to our communities and in so doing have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. And I further call upon the citizens of Port Huron to observe Wednesday, May 15th, 2019, as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those law enforcement officers who through their courageous deeds have made the ultimate sacrifice and service to their community or have become disabled in the performance of duty, and let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes. Congratulations. Thank you. Give you that.
Mayor Rupp, City Council, City Manager Freed, I'd like to thank you for this. Unfortunately, in 2019, we've lost 41 officers killed in the line of duty so far. Just recently, there was a sergeant killed Saturday night in Savannah, Georgia, while investigating a robbery. He was shot and killed, and his partner was injured. We've only lost one officer, Detective Roy Shamblew, in the line of duty in the city of Port Huron, and I hope that's all that we lose. And we do wear these mourning bands. We're starting today and actually wearing it through Friday for Police Week. And we just want to say thank you, and we appreciate it, and we are happy to serve the citizens of Port Huron, and I will probably put this up in the police department. So thanks again.
Thank you. We'll move on with the agenda to public hearings. If the clerk would please read the first one.
To hear comments on the proposed capital improvement program for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2019.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council this evening on public hearing number 1 relative to the capital improvement program? Seeing no one, declare public hearing number 1 closed. Move on to number 2.
To hear comments on the proposed budget for fiscal year 2019-2020.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council this evening concerning the 2019-20 proposed budget? Come forward now and give us your name. Seeing no one, declare public hearing number 2 closed. Number 3, please.
To hear comments on the proposed budget for the Port Huron Downtown Development Authority for fiscal year 2019-20.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council this evening on public hearing number 3 on the proposed Port Huron Downtown Development Authority budget for 2019-20? Seeing no one, declare public hearing number 3 closed. Moving on, this is the time for public comment. If there's anyone in the audience who wishes to address the city council this evening on any item under which we have authority, please come forward. You can please give us your name and address, and you have 4 minutes.
Thank you very much. Good evening, City Council members, Mayor Rupp, City Manager Freed. My name is James C. Harrison, and I am a Senior National Representative for the Utility Workers Union of America. One of my responsibilities is to service UWA local unions and assist in negotiating labor agreements. As such, I've been the chief spokesperson for the DPW employees of Local 532 who have been in contract negotiations with the city since March of 2018. I address you this evening on behalf of the hardworking and dedicated employees of the city who are seated behind me, and I ask you on their behalf to encourage the city administration in reaching a fair and equitable result to these negotiations for the city and its dedicated employees. I don't believe this is the proper venue in which to get into all the details of negotiations. However, I wish to bring to your attention that prior to entering into negotiations with Local 532, the city made commitments on pension changes without first securing those changes through collective bargaining. I question whether or not that is in good faith. Despite this concern, Local 532's negotiators have been willing to accept the most substantial pension change that the city is demanding, namely to reduce the pension multipliers for employees hired prior to January 1st, 2010. This concession will reduce the pension of these longtime employees. The bargaining team was willing to accept the concession in light of the funding issues with the pension. Many of the employees affected by a reduction will have their pension reduced and will never be able to make up the loss with the time that they have left with the city. These employees will simply live their retirement with less than they thought they would have. This is not the first retirement sacrifice made by members of Local 532. As you know, the union agreed to a hybrid plan for employees hired after January 1st, 2010, which significantly reduced the city's cost and lowered the retirement for those employees. Once again, the union's membership recognized the pension's underfunding and took steps to help resolve the issue at their own expense. The sticking point in negotiations now is the amount of overtime that is used as part of the employee's pension calculation. As it stands now, there is no cap on overtime in pension calculation. The city has proposed an arbitrary cap that will dramatically lower the pensions of many of its longtime employees. The city's OT cap proposal will further reduce the standard of living for many employees at retirement, but the city will not know what savings there was when the overtime cap was first proposed. Nevertheless, the union proposed an overtime cap on its pension alternative. The city rejected the city negotiators with a claim that the pension must be what the city agreed to amongst itself prior to negotiations with Local 532. In light of the city's refusal to change its proposal, the union went back to work and crafted what would result in equivalent or close to equivalent savings. We view this as a win-win for all parties. Once again, the city's negotiators rejected the union's proposal out of hand. Local 532 is seeking a contract that is fair to all parties. The union continues to be willing to work to reach a fair agreement, but they're very concerned that the city's negotiators are refusing to consider any alternative to its unilateral decision on the pension issue. Since the City Council must ratify all collective bargaining agreements, just like the union membership, we have taken the unusual step of coming to you directly to request your attention in this matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience who wishes to address the City Council this evening under public comment?
On that subject or another?
On any subject we have jurisdiction over.
My name's Jim White, and as the rest of these folks, I live on Cedar Street in Port Huron. 3 years and 3 months ago, there was a fire at 1103 Cedar Street. It was caused by a meth lab, and for 3 years and 3 months and 2 election cycles, we have talked to people about something happening there. This past year, a notice was given, and at the 11th hour, a permit was pulled, and plenty time was given for the house to be renovated. It failed to meet that point last week. We come to you as the people that are most affected by this and ask you that it get moved forward to the next step. We have been told that now it's going to go to legal. We'd like to know what that's meant. Who do we talk to? And 3 years and 3 months is enough. And, there's a family that lives next door with a small child, and that has never been cleaned up. It was a meth lab. It's never been cleaned up. I have worked with some of you about the county health department taking over these things. Has it been condemned? We don't know. But again, there's children in the neighborhood. It's hurt property values in the neighborhood. And one thing moving forward, what is in the council's power to, in the future, assure that when there's a house that burns, that in a timely fashion, it is taken out or given a choice. This one did not meet the need to be torn down immediately, but since the permit was pulled, the roof was off half to two-thirds of it all winter long. There is nothing to be salvaged there. I'm a contractor, and yes, monies were put in at the last 2-3 weeks, but it's still a disgrace, and we just need to know that it's going to be taken care of. And then moving forward, what can the city do to say, once you get your insurance money, you have X number of days to submit and get it taken care of? And I guess long-term, that's what we're really looking for. But anybody else? Jared?
I'll talk. I live right next door. I have a year-and-a-half-year-old daughter.
Can you give me your name?
My name is Jared Markey. I live at 1109 Cedar. I moved in about a year and a half ago. My realtor at the time told me, hey, the house, it kind of sucks. I can't do much about it. It should be torn down in 6 months. A year and a half later, I love my house. I enjoy being in the city of Port Huron. I work in Harrison Township. I'm at the point now where if nothing's going to happen with this house, I'm going to move. I don't want my daughter to grow up with a meth house burn out next door. It's been there for a year and a half since I've been there, and nothing's changed. It's gotten worse. There's 2 or 3 trailers full of garbage, burned garbage, out in the yard right now. The guy tried to restructure with non-code meeting material. He's got just thrown together trusses, thrown together roofing. It's not complete. He's got tarps over top of it. It's, like you said, it's a disgrace to our community, and it just sucks every night pulling in my driveway. I look at this house. It's half assembled, looks like crap. Just honestly needs to be torn down. Raccoons have been living in it all winter. I'm sure there's mold in and out because the water's draining all winter. It's just like you said. My daughter's young. I have choices. If it comes to that, I will leave the city of Port Huron. I enjoy the city, but we're all taxpayers. This guy's a slumlord. He let people move in this house. Obviously, he's all about the money. He didn't care about their background checks. They were making meth in the basement, from what I've heard. Now it's a burned-out house. Obviously, his insurance wouldn't cover it because it was drug-related. So that's why it's just sat and sat and sat. So it's sad for me because I'm looking at the next step. Like, I guess I'll leave the city. If that's what it comes to, that's what I have to do for my family. So thanks for hearing us out. And maybe that's my thought. Oh, go ahead.
I'm Sandy O'Neill. I live at 1124 Cedar Street. I've lived in that house for 45 years. I have improved that house over the last 45 years. I've put a lot of money into it, and the houses on both sides of me. One of them, they're improving. They're both empty now. One is being improved to be sold, and the other one is also being improved. They're not going to be able to sell them with that house like that. And it's just an embarrassment to our neighborhood. And after being in that neighborhood for 45 years, it's just despicable.
Hi, my name's Don Wiskowski. I live at 1108 Cedar Street, and I'm talking about the house directly across the street from me. We've been there for 2 years now, and hardly nothing's been done until just a month ago or a couple weeks ago. It has been a terrible thing to open up your front window and look through your front window and see a burned out shell of a house. It's very terrible. We have a granddaughter that lives with us, and we have found hypodermic needles in the front lawn over there.
I was when I found it.
So it's been a disaster since we moved in. He finally did some work this last week, but it's not enough. That's all I got to say.
Hello, my name is Lawrence Hayash. I live at 1104 Cedar Street. I've owned the house since '76. And opened my front blinds, and that's what I get to see, a burned-out apartment building for the last 39 months. The roof has been open, not for just one winter, for 3 winters. That fire happened in February, and my house was damaged also from the fire. It happens that day, the wind was north wind. It blew right into my house, which I had painted like 8 years ago. The paint job was 3 years old at the time, or 5 years old at the time. It was still good. But last year I had to pressure wash the house to get the smoke damage off of it. And when I did that, my paint job went with it. So now I got a blight statement the other month from the city saying, I got to paint the front of the house. I know that, I do. I'm willing to do that, but here I get a month and a half to do what I have to do, but they've had over 3 years to do something with it. I think the city should have taken that house a long time ago and just bulldozed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Certainly, I know I've had conversations with Mr. White over the last couple of years about this house, and I know there's a process gone through, and I don't know if I could ask you perhaps, I know that Mr. Haynes knows what's going on there, so.
Are you prepared to give a briefing now, or do you want to wait till tomorrow? Okay.
I don't normally do this, but I think you put up with it for a long time, so.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We share the frustration. We've been working with this property owner trying to have this issue resolved for the past 3 years. Every time we sit down and we start the process of a code case, in which a code case has been started on this property, he initiates his permits and comes to the table and begins the process of rehabbing the house. Where it stands today is he was given until last Friday to finish the exterior, which included the roof, the windows, the siding needed to be completed. He said he had a delay. The building inspector has given him until Friday, this Friday, to make those repairs. If that doesn't happen, we're going to move forward with the code case and taking the building down.
So if it goes to a code case, it would be at our next agenda? Would that be, or do you have, oh no, you have to give it a notice first and then
We
go
have to
from there,
place
yeah.
notice,
Yeah.
and there's a process. And by the way, the code case process and declaring the building unsafe in a public nuisance, that is a statutory process. So it's really, you cannot fast track it. You have to go through the state notifications and have due process, because it essentially ends up being a public taking of a property.
Okay, thank you. But I think the rest of the council would concur that we need to follow up on this and come to
No,
some
I
solution.
wholeheartedly agree, and I agree with the neighbors.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. If you could keep us informed, too, of what's going on, I think the rest of the council would appreciate that as well. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the city council this evening on any subject matter under our jurisdiction?
My name is Philip Reiser from Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm here concerning a resolution that was passed last September. I was not in attendance. I was not notified. It has to do with a change of billing for sidewalk work done at 717 11th Street. And I did write the council on February the 5th, as well as just March the 24th, served the council. And I would like, with all due respect to the council, I would like with just the council to let me know if they received those. If they didn't, then I'll just have to orally make my statement here. With regard to this, the content of my petition was for to have the resolution 18-117. I want it rescinded, I want it vacated without having to go into litigation, because what it has done is, as a result of those documents and records of those documents being received by the St. Clair County Treasury Department, they wrote me a check which they claimed that they owed me. And this is what has happened now, is it's created a lot of ambiguity on taxation, on assessments, and now I'm having a problem over at the county trying to resolve that matter as a result of this resolution that was passed without me being here, without me being notified. And I just want to know what these councils are going to do about it. And if they don't do anything about it, I guess it's going to end up going into litigation. I want to just give you a minute there to, anybody got any questions?
Well, we normally wouldn't respond back to that. We did receive your communications, just so that you know that everyone on council has received your communications. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry.
Okay. Everybody on council has received your communication. It would be up to someone on council if they chose to present anything, and no one has. So at that point, it's really kind of a moot point.
Well, are you aware of this particular
Yes.
resolution?
Yes.
Well, do you know it stems from a previous resolution on a assessment on a property of which was done, in other words, the sidewalk repair work was done, and the content of this is baseless because it states that I did something there. And if I did it without a permit. I want to know what the city's going to do about it, because that's against the ordinances. You have to have a permit to do any sidewalk work in the right-of-way. So that's what I'm here for. I want to know why you won't rescind it, because if you don't rescind it, I want to be prosecuted.
Well, at this point, I don't think anybody is going to rescind the resolution. So,
Well, what will the, with all due respect, I'm asking the council because I wrote to council.
well, we're not going to negotiate on this, so you're allowed to give your comments, and if anybody wants to bring it up, they will bring it up.
What is the city going to do about doing work in the right-of-way without a permit? Is there going to be any complaints? Is there going to be any litigation over the ordinance?
We have heard nothing to that effect.
We've what?
We've heard nothing from the administration to that effect, so.
So there's not going to be any? I want you to read this.
Well, right now, you had your 4 minutes, which is just about up, so I will take your information, and then I will...
So if you're telling me that I repaired that without a permit, then I guess I can go out and take the sidewalk back out without a permit. And there's not going to be any litigation on that either. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to go...
I'm sorry, Mr.
I'm going to
Reisner,
sue
your time
the
is up.
county, and the county will drag the city into this because this is baseless.
Mr. Reisner, your time is up.
It's baseless. I want to hear from the city council.
We'll move on. Is there anyone else that would like to speak under public comment? You can come forward and give us your name, and you have 4 minutes. Seeing no one else, I'll declare public comment closed. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Ashford. We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Beeden?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. The items on the consent agenda authorize submission of a revised grant resolution to correspond with the pending grant submission to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Land and Water Conservation Fund Program in the amount of $300,000 to assist with the creation of an outdoor skate park facility and related park amenities at Optimus Park. Authorize the submission of a revised grant resolution to correspond with the pending grant submission to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund Program in the amount of $300,000 to assist with the creation of an outdoor skate facility and related park amenities. And authorizing another one to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund Program in the amount of $50,000 to assist with improvements to play equipment for greater accessibility, environmentally friendly landscaping, and related park amenities at Gratiot Park. And also one more for the amount of $50,000 for the same park at Gratiot Park. All those items were approved under the consent agenda. We will then go back to, from the city manager, number 1.
Accepting the bid from Murray Underground Systems Incorporated in the amount of $284,858 for the rehabilitation of the Northern Sanitary Pump Station.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Ashford, is there a second?
Support.
Councilmember Pemberton, is there discussion?
Madam Mayor and Council, you'll see the attached memo from Director Witter. This is for the lift station that's located right behind Port Huron Northern High School along the canal. We had budgeted $330,000 for this project, so it did come in about $50,000 under budget.
Which is good. Is there any questions? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Beeden?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Rapp.
Yes. Item 2.
Accepting the unit price bid from Michigan Pipe Inspection Incorporated in the amount of $134,670 for the pre-design and emergency sewer cleaning and video inspection services for a 3-year period.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Pemberton, is there a second?
Second.
Member Mayor, I think it's Beeden. Go with Beeden. You both kind of said it together, so we'll give you credit. Is there any discussion?
Madam Mayor, just note that you probably recognize this name. Michigan Pipe Inspection has been working with the city for as long as I've been here. They do an excellent job for us and continue to do so, and they are the low bidder.
Mira,
Yes, Councilmember
yeah,
Ashford.
and so this, the video, this whole thing is going to do the 244 miles?
It does for what we need this year. So we estimate quantities of how many we need based on the projects and design. It's not going to do the entire system, but it does the quantities we estimated out.
Oh, okay, so you did answer that question, okay. And so actually, this is a key tool that we use going up into the pipes to video that, to identify the areas that you can specifically go to.
Yes.
To make the necessary.
It helps to keep design costs down as well because we're able to videotape it, see exactly what's underground before we go in and replace. They also do design, videotaping of our piping to see if we even need replacement. So it's underground, we can go in and say, you know what, no, that sewer main's in pretty decent shape. We'll wait another 5 years on it. So it's all the above.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Any
Thank
other
you.
discussion?
Mayor Rapp,
Yes, Councilmember Harris.
just a comment. The gentleman owns Michigan Pipe Inspection. He's a resident of the city of Port Huron. His business headquarters is over on Ronald Street in Port Huron. And, you know, we're looking at this $134,000 cost. It really doesn't represent the savings that we get from him every year. If you look at last year, we probably only spent about $25,000 or $30,000 with him. And he has a state-of-the-art program that's exceeds just about everything that everybody else has ground. I just talked to him, I think about 6 months ago, and he was telling me his most recent purchase on a camera was $18,000. So you can see his profits are probably limited by the amount of money he spends every year. But I think it's just a good thing that he does our work, and he is a resident and taxpayer.
Thank you. Any other discussion, comments? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Beeden?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes?
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Mayor Rapp.
Yes. Item 3.
Accepting the bid from Randy's Rental in the amount of $8,467.20 for the purchase of a zero-turn 60-inch deck lawnmower for use by the Cemetery Division.
Is there a motion?
So moved. Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Ashford. Is there any discussion?
Mayor Rapp,
Yes.
could we get a
ma'am.
background on, it just is no longer suitable for everyday use? What's going on with the existing mower and why we're replacing it?
I believe it's about 13 years old, 14 years old. It's just the wear and tear. They beat doing commercial landscape, lawn mowing almost every single day, 13 years is a long time, so it's just normal wear and tear.
Thank you.
Any other questions, discussion?
I don't have any question or discussion, but I'd just like to thank the city manager. I know I could appreciate the question from my colleague down there, but we always get an explanation sheet as to what it is what's going on here as far as from the city manager, and the explanation in detail and the specifications and what the reason is for and the purpose and why. So just want to say, pay extra attention to what we're really voting on here. so thank you.
Absolutely. Just a small detail that may go unnoticed, but they bid it out a 60-inch deck, and they have 54 inches and 60 inches, and they also have 72. We use a lot of 72 inches on our wide open spaces. It's specifically the headstone rows. You can't get a 72-inch deck down a headstone road. So this is designed to work best in the cemetery.
Thank you. Any other discussion? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Beeden?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 4.
Receive and file the quarterly financial report for the 9-month period ending March 31st, 2019.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Ashford, is there a second?
Support?
Councilmember Pemberton, could you give us a
Yeah.
synopsis, please?
Madam Mayor, this is a good report. We're trending at about 69.4%. You would expect this time of the year, we would have expelled about 75% of our line items. Last year, we were at 71.9%, so we're trending about 2.5% under expenses last year. So we are sticking to the budget that we adopted. Our revenues look good. Our income tax is coming in as projected. So is our property tax. So all the indicators are saying that our revenues are coming in as expected, and we're keeping our expenses below what we expect to be spending by now.
Okay. Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember.
Yeah, what's up with our telephone? We are expecting credits to our telephone costs. In what capacity?
Correct. Our IT director, when we switched, we were overbilled from AT&T, and so they're going to credit that back to us, and it should take about 3 or 4 months to work out.
And is this quarterly report right in line with our budget coming up this week?
Yeah, exactly. So what it shows, is anyone can adopt a budget, but the question is whether or not the budget's realistic.
Right.
So typically, you want to be around 75% of expenditures this time of year. We're at 69. Last year, we were at 71%. So it means that we're keeping below the burn rate.
So you're trending.
Yeah, we're trending below the burn rate should be, and we're also trending below what the burn rate was last year.
Thank you. Thanks, Mayor Rep.
You're welcome. Is there any other discussion?
Mayor Rep,
Councilmember Warden.
just had a couple of questions just to get a kind of update of the market out there. I always kind of ask and look at the funds that we have and where we move some of these money market or certificate of deposit or savings. 90 days, we keep, switching to see. I just wanted to kind of get an outlook of some of these are coming up, and I see 2.25 or 2.5 percent on some of these for 90 and 92 days. With a looks like the return there is we're starting to get overall a little better return. I just wanted to get an idea. If you can let me know what's out there for the next. This is through March 26th. So I just want to see what the renewal is, or
You bring up an excellent
Likely,
question.
yeah.
So there's two components to that answer. First, we are continuously surveying the banks for interest rates. We set out essentially, give us what your rates are, and we move money accordingly. We also want to make sure that we have blocks of money that if we need liquidity, so if we're going to do a project in a fund and we need to tap a couple $1 million for, say, Quay Street project, we need to ensure that those CDs do not have early withdrawal penalties. The second component is, so the first answer to your question is we survey constantly. About every 30 days we send out for our banks. In fact, I moved about $5.8 million from Advia a couple months ago. They shot us back a proposal for a higher interest. We moved 4.2 back. So we're continuously looking at the market. Where can we get the best interest? The second component is we don't want to have all of our eggs in one basket for custodial risk. So we do take certain blocks. If you can see, our fund balances are distributed throughout several different banks so that all of our fund equity isn't in one bank. And that's called custodial risk factor, and it's recommended by any financial advisor. So that's why you'll see intentional diversification of where we keep funds. So we gauge the market, and we also gauge custodial
yeah, I
risk.
just wanted to kind of see these are through March. Seems like since I've been on council, some of them had ones in front of them instead of twos, and it seems like we're starting to get placing some of these at 2, 2.5, 2.25, just on these 90-day things. So wanted to see if there's any change that you've seen for we're now in May. So are they still in the same range, or?
I would say 6 months ago, we saw interest rates spike a little bit. Plateauing now. I would probably foresee that in the future, given where the market's going.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden,
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Beeden,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, we'll move on to resolutions. Number 1, please.
Authorizing 13 payments.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Pemberton, is there a second?
Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. Is there any questions?
I'd just like to make a comment. You'll note Body Construction completed the dredging on the Black River Canal. This is the first year they've done it in quite some time. They did an excellent job. They worked with the DEQ to extend the dredging to be dumped south of Holland, which was the first time we've done that ever. So it worked out really well. We'll do another dredging probably later on this year. I want to thank again Port Huron Township Supervisor Bob Lewandowski and Fort Gratiot Supervisor Georgia Baldwin. They contribute $3,000, each township does each year, towards the dredging cost. So this is a shared partnership for them.
Thank you for bringing that up again. Is there any other discussion, questions? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Warden,
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Beeden,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, we'll move on to item 2.
Approving the contract with the Michigan Department of Transportation for reconstruction of 13th Street from Water Street to Lapeer Avenue.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Councilmember Ashford, is there a second?
Support.
Councilmember Pemberton. Could you give us a little bit on background on this,
Yeah, I'll
please?
actually have Director Witter come up and talk about how we got the funding for this. Get some TV time tonight for your kids.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. As you can see, the City of Port Huron requested federal aid for this project. That percentage of the cost is 81.85%. The remaining portion is the responsibility of the City of Port Huron. There are some city obligated costs that are ineligible, and that's for water main work and a little bit of sanitary and storm work.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Mayor Rep,
Yes.
being it's in my neighborhood, I'm looking back, and I thought early predictions on this were about $880,000, and I see this is up to $1.5 million now, and I guess the thing that startled me was the fact that this is the early part of the sewer separation, and now we're talking about going in and doing some of that work again. Has it failed, or?
No, as part of sewer separation, we did the areas to the east and west of 13th, but they had to do a lot of tie-ins in the intersection, so we really did not do anything within 13th besides the intersections. So there's still aging infrastructure in there, and obviously the pavement is really going away, so we need to address that.
Very bad. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, Councilmember Ashford.
And I think also it's a huge portion that the federal is giving us, along with us, but anytime you undertake something, a project like this, you take the opportunity as a city to actually target those ineligible costs that we're doing, to do that other work that you couldn't do before.
Sure.
Is
Yeah.
that
So
correct?
this is a great opportunity for us. Like I said, there's a little bit of storm and sanitary, but it's a full water main replacement, so obviously you get federal money to help bear the cost of the payment that if we did not get that money, we'd be responsible to do it on our own.
Right, and plus it'd be triple that cost
Right.
if you had to do that.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
exactly.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from anybody else?
Mayor Rep.
Councilmember.
I'm just asking, not just specifically on this, but has there been, as you hear some of the different change for the state government, and you hear more talk about potential stuff going toward infrastructure from the federal government and on down, have we seen anything on some of these that in the future we might be able to get a little more coverage on this for this work, or potentially for the city of Port Huron?
Yeah, I mean, we're constantly looking at that. We have received some additional money in Act 51, but that's something that we're always keeping a look at and trying to get monies, and obviously if we have money to match it, we'll go for that, so.
Additionally, Director Witter makes sure that we have city staff himself or a city engineer present at, like, for instance, the Scott's Task Force, which the feds and the states block grant monies to counties, to regional, to be distributed for Class D or Class A road reconstruction, and we have staff there. So we're competing for a limited pool of funds, and so that's something that we find very important to make sure that we have a seat at the table. That's often 24, 36, and 48 months out in programming, but that's how we get a lot of these fundings.
Thank you for your work.
Anybody else? Thank you.
You're welcome.
We will take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Beeden?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, we'll move on to item 3, please.
Approving the agreement with Plant and Moran, PLLC Certified Public Accountants to conduct the audit for 3 fiscal years.
Is there a motion?
So moved?
Councilmember Pemberton, is there a second?
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. It's to be a guessing game.
As long as we keep the meeting moving.
That's right.
Yeah.
Is there any discussion on this? This is, do you want to?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, Plant Moran has been the auditors for as long as I can remember, as long as I've been here. They do an excellent job for us. They know our systems, they know how we work, they understand our ledger systems and our financial programs. So for them to come in, once they understand the system, if we were to go with a different firm, you'd probably get a much higher bid because if they come in, retrain the staff, retool the staff. Also, what is nice, Plant Moran has a relationship with us. We've reached out above and beyond our contracts. You remember Plant Moran has come here numerous times for free to give us financial advice, to give us financial counsel. They have not billed that at any cost. Joe Heffron, their senior financial planner, has also been a key advisor to us on pensions, on budgets, on anything we have financial related. So they do an excellent job for us. Kind of a random and odd thing that's kind of nice about using the same firm is the audits are in the same layout every year. And so it's nice for us for easy reading, so you can compare multi-years over time. So that can maybe be a small factor for someone like me who's comparing multiple years of audits. It's kind of nice to have it together like that.
Any discussion?
Mayor Rep, just a comment. You know, I looked at this, and I'm sorry I was away a little bit this weekend and stuff, but, you know, as I looked at this earlier the weekend, and today I had a chance to make some contacts, and I looked at our city ordinance on bidding and purchases and stuff, and I just think at this time, it's just kind of sending the wrong message and stuff. And, because the person I talked to today is a local firm. They do cities like Port Huron, larger and smaller, and I think it's about time we give them a chance. And, you know, just recently, or a few years ago, we amended the charter to give local bidders a little extra chance if they come close with the bid and stuff. So I just find it kind of, you know, not taking anything away from Plant Moran done, but I just think it's the wrong time, and I will be voting no on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Rep.
Councilmember Ashford.
Yeah, James, in the executive report here, under the first paragraph, I know they had to increase this by 2%. What is that really based on?
Just
Yeah,
personnel costs,
just
travel costs.
personnel.
They're paying people to be here. Those costs go up. Another point to bring up as well is this is a professional service. We base it on qualifications, not on price. We bid on who has the most professional capacity to deal with our city, provide insight to our financial status. So it is based on a request of qualifications. We do not do a request for proposal. So you're not bidding on a price point. You're bidding on what is the best firm capable of handling the city.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add to that, too, Plant Moran, I mean, it's no joke what we are going through in the past. You know, our unfunded liabilities, the critical state of that, and having someone with the expertise to go in there and know how to, you know, calculate those numbers and the formulas and what have you. And not to mention, you already mentioned it, the amount of training that they give our staff in order to work with them to be able to coexist in a more successful way for the city. And I think they do an absolute great job. And I don't know if I would ever throw experience out the window. If anything, I'll be throwing it in, because I don't want a doctor coming in and saying he had a heart doctor who only got 2 weeks on the, you know, training, as versus somebody that knows what they're doing. So I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm just trying to say the importance of someone experienced that been there and done that. And we do need that, and we need that going forward, because we're not out of the woods yet. And so there's, I mean, it's no secret. I am voting yes on this, so.
Thank you.
All right.
Any other discussion? think they certainly have a good reputation, and
Yeah.
consistency is very important.
Yeah.
Yes, Councilmember Ward.
Mayor Rapp, yeah, I think just touching on, again, it's we trust them with doing it, they're a great firm. And I think what, at least what I'm hearing and I'm thinking here is, this is, when they put out an RFP, it says back in 2013, basically put it out for bid, I think is, and then again through 2015, in there it had an option to extend it, as it's at least spelled out here, from 2016 to 2018. I guess the main thing is there any harm to actually putting out an RFP just to see what other bidders may come in? I mean, because there are a lot of professional firms, and maybe they do come in. Are we putting it out there at all, or are we just taking this? Because really, this is going to be going on, 8 years, 9 years now?
Yeah, so here's-
Probably longer.
So I
would imagine.
recognize the desire to maybe look elsewhere, and I would support that at a future date. Here's why I don't recommend doing it now. One, you just approved for $400,000 in new software for our financial software, so we did new payroll, new finance software. We're deploying a new income tax software. I'm working right now with the Department of Treasury to issue $52 million in pension bonds over the next 12 months. If there was ever a time where I don't want change or inconsistency in our auditors or financial advisors, it's now. If we want to look at it, let's get the new financial software in place. Let's get the income tax software in place. This is a year of transition. I want to limit the most amount of variables in a year of transition. Changing out our auditing firm and our accounting firm in the middle of these types of transition, I think would be detrimental. If you want to look at it next year, I'm more than happy to send out an RFQ next year.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that the other bidders would come in and, Plant and Ram might still be the one. I just wanted to see.
Yeah, you never know.
What the intent, because this keeps extended, and I thought, man, when's the last time you guys put it out? It was before my time.
You bring up a good point.
Yeah.
It's always good to look around every once in a while, but it's also good to look around when it's the right time. This fiscal year just isn't the right time.
Any other discussion? We did do this, I think, a number of years ago, before you were here, I think, and we did make a change, I think, at that time, but certainly are not going to do it this year, no. Any other discussion? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Beeden?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
No.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 4.
Approving the application from Landmark Port Huron LLC for a Neighborhood Enterprise Zone Rehabilitation Certificate for 216, 218, and 220 Huron Avenue.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support. Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Ashford. Is there discussion?
Madam Mayor, I would just like to take a moment to thank Brett Marcel and Larry Jones, the Eddie Award recipient, Larry Jones, the distinguished honorable Larry Jones. You continue to invest in our community. When we deploy a NES district, we talked about this at the last meeting when we were talking about incentives. It's about the highest and best value. How do we leverage our incentive to really make a dynamic impact? The work Larry Jones has done, I know your wife designs a lot of it, some of it. She takes some credit. And Brett Marcel has done, they've taken what should have been an investment and they've gone above and beyond. They constantly go above and beyond. Whether it's the lofts, whether it's the restaurants, whether it's the mixed use, they constantly go above and beyond what they promise. And so we thank you for continuing to invest in our community. I just looked at your last project yesterday. I got a sneak peek. It's incredible. And so this is the reason why we have incentives, for this specific reason. And there's people who take incentives and, do as little possible to get the incentives, and then there's people who take the incentive and leverage it to do something above and beyond expectations. And each time we've done this, Larry, you and your team have exceeded expectations, exceeded commitments, and so we appreciate you fulfilling your promises to us.
Mayor Rapp?
Mayor Pro Tem
I would like to echo that and say to Larry, you took a chance long before anybody else did in the city of Port Huron, and you started, and I'm pretty sure quite a few people thought you were crazy. But you made it work, and you keep coming back, and you're doing more and more and more, and that is why you won that award, because you have really put your money where your mouth is, and you've stepped forward and shown how much you love this community, and you have been a great asset, and I personally want to thank you as well.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, Councilmember Ashford.
Yeah, City Manager Freed mentioned NES, that's the Neighborhood Enterprise Zone. A lot of people, when you're talking it, I just want everybody to understand what we're talking about. So these are tools to help us give incentives and help to people that want to invest in our city to make it a better place. And certainly, my thoughts here on this particular person and what they do is that they've got a proven track record. You know, there's no doubt about it. You know, you just look at what you've already done, and what you continue to do makes one heck of a difference. So thank you so much.
Madam Mayor, you bring up an excellent point. A NES district we're not giving Larry any money.
That's right.
He's getting no taxpayer dollars from us. A NES district means that any future investment he makes, we're going to cap the taxation for a certain period of time, which costs us nothing, because had they not made the investment, we would never get those monies anyways. So we're not taking public dollars and giving it to a private developer. We're just saying, Larry, if you invest in this community, we're going to hold tight on your taxes for a few years to let you recoup some of that.
And it's not only for Larry, but anybody else out there that have any idea or want to do something different to make it, we have these tools available. So thank you so much.
Any other comments?
Mayor Rapp. Of course, I constantly a big fan of Larry's work over the years, him stepping up when again, nobody else was there, and the foresight and just trudging through. And now we see a lot of the end result of the hard work, and the vision is just amazing. So this is going to be the next little project that he's going to get started. Again, I'm a big believer in this type of program. If it's a neighborhood enterprise zone, it's just the taxes get frozen where they're currently at. He then puts in a substantial amount of money to fix them all up, and it just gives them a little time before that tax base, a taxable rate, starts going back up to start recouping that. So I do think it is a win for the city. But I do want to touch on, looking at this, and here's, Larry's definitely for Landmark here. This is three buildings, and that new little form that we did, just kind of what qualified, I think it was last meeting, about potentially changing kind of an outline guideline. This reaches that level. There's a little sheet here that shows how it kind of plays out. I don't know what I did with that thing, but where's that? Little boxes to check that you might qualify for being able to have the neighborhood enterprise zone. The size of investment, the number of investment into it, and then the use, and it's kind of a point schedule. But I just look at this as saying, I'm definitely in strong support, but for what Council Member Archibald just mentioned, Ashford just mentioned, if somebody else, my concern is now, these are very good programs that we're seeing are working. It's definitely attracting and helping developers like Mr. Jones come in and do this thing, that if it was just one of the buildings, and let's say it was only 5 lofts, or it took, $300,000 or $400,000 to do that one building instead of all at once, would they still be able to apply or try to come to get that same tax abatement? And that's the thing, I think, that this is a proven thing that works. Strong support for it. I still want to make sure that if others come forward, again, for the smaller sizes, that we still need to make sure that we be very careful about still opening up that potential to do it. But I appreciate your hard work. On to the next project. You got my support.
Thank you. You have done an outstanding job downtown. I know everybody thought I would agree with that, crazy to begin with. But you've really done it. You've proven yourself beyond. And congratulations. I wasn't able to attend the event the other night. I was out of town, but congratulations. You deserve that Eddie Award. You want to take the vote?
Councilmember Beeden? Yes. Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Mayor Rapp?
Yes. We'll move on to item 5.
Confirming the mayor's appointment of Joseph Bond to the Planning Commission for a term to expire August 11, 2020, and the appointment of Councilmember Lisa Beeden as the City Council's designated representative.
Is there a motion?
So moved?
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, is there a second?
Support.
Councilmember Pemberton, is there any discussion?
Mayor Rapp?
Yes.
I just wanted to quickly say, I took over the position as the designee in January of 2017 when previous Councilmember Alan Lewandowski resigned, and I've enjoyed that time on Planning Commission immensely. But when I took a new position that September, there were quite a few conflicts, and I've managed to try to make it work in the last year and a half. but often find myself having to not attend a planning commission to attend a function for work, or have to try to get out of something for work in order to make a planning commission. And I just decided that at this point it was not fair to either my day job or the planning commission. So that is why I tendered my resignation and asked for a new appointee.
Thank you, and thank you for doing the job that you've done for the last couple of years. Is there any further discussion?
Mayor Rep? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Councilmember Ward.
I just, the planning commission, just, again, it's appointed by the mayor, and then it comes to us for approval. I just, I guess time flies, but it seems like there was an awful lot of nominations, or people putting in their petition to, not nominations, but they're stepping forward to say, hey, I'd love to plan on that. And I just kind of, again, just kind of want to know the process of, when, how many people were out there and choosing to nominate somebody on that board. Were there quite a few, is it something you decide on your own directly, communicate with them, or is it just something that, as, again, the unfortunate passing of a good friend of the city and everybody is, Mr. Stevens, that's, he's going to be missed on a lot of fronts. So I just think, I just was kind of wondering as other people put their foot in
Well, we
there.
had a total of, I believe it was 5 applications.
Oh, 5,
But
okay.
the most recent, there was 2. The other ones have been there for quite some time. So I'm
Okay.
not even sure that they were still interested in where they fit in there. Mr. Bond had applied he was the newest one to apply. We did have someone who applied after him, but they were equally qualified to do it, so I suggested the person who obviously applied first. So,
Okay.
and he's new to the community, and I think he wants to get involved, and I think it'll be a good fit.
Yeah, and also as far as Councilmember Archibald, again, I've attended some of those meetings. You've been there. I can understand that, and I want to, again, wish Councilmember Beeden for this appointment. It's good. It'd be good to have you there, and hopefully give some feedback to us and and take on that next little responsibility.
Well, the Mayor Pro Tem Archibald said that she was going to resign in the past couple of months. Councilmember Beeden has indicated that if an opening ever, occurred, she would like to be put in that position, so that's why she was put in there. Anybody else?
Yeah, Mayor Rep, before we do this, could you give us a little bit, a high profile on Joseph Bond?
I can do that.
Well, everybody did get a copy of his application. It was sent to everybody.
I missed it, so I just want to know something about him.
Okay, I don't have his application in front of me right now, but do you?
He said he
He has
could do
been,
it.
he has
Yeah.
met, he's been at the meetings.
I can give you 30,000 foot. So Mr. Bond works in the automotive industry. He works specifically managing GM contracts for a major local tier 1 supplier in St. Clair County. He holds, I believe, a business degree. I also believe he holds an advanced degree as well. He lives over on Riverside Drive. He's been coming to council meetings. You've probably known him for the last couple months. He sits in the front row. He took me out to lunch probably, 6, 7 months ago, and just said, hey, I'd like to get involved. Here's my skill set. I'm educated, I'm trained. The Planning Commission is a highly technical position. A lot of people don't realize that. It's highly technical, a lot of statutes, a lot of reading. It's not just something you get dropped into. And so you want someone who has the education level, the understanding, understanding that. So he's a good guy, seems very articulate, very educated. His management, the way he manages these large level contracts shows you he's a very capable guy, and so good candidate.
You say he's new to the community?
I think about a year now. He just moved back. He married a local person. His family owns a local business here in town, so just moved back.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
Anyone else? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Harris?
No.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Warden?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Beeden?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes. We'll move on to the last item, number 10.
Authorizing the purchase of 2831 Nern, John L. Portis Drive, and the adjacent vacant lot at 3100 30th Street for $40,000.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Pemberton, is there a second?
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald.
Madam Mayor, quick explanation. This again goes with our strategy to assemble property around the industrial park. We had originally looked at this property several years ago, approached the property owners. At that point, we were looking around offering them $50,000 for that property. We got a phone call, I think it was like middle of last week, from a realtor in town that said the property had essentially, it was a short sale or going back to the bank, or in the process of going back to the bank. The bank had reached out, said, hey, we're looking at, getting this property back, and so we are getting it for $10,000 less than we were offering them a couple years ago. And so this is a large chunk of property, 0.92 acres, and this is below what we have been paying for other properties. So we pay average about between $20,000 and $25,000 per about a half acre, about $40,000 for a full acre. So this is pretty well below market.
Anything, any other comments, questions?
Mayor Rep,
Councilmember Warden?
just one, you mentioned about, you said it was potentially going into foreclosure, or was it already in?
It is in foreclosure.
It started the
process.
foreclosure
Yeah,
process?
Correct.
And so is this person that came forward, is this representing the owner of the home, actually the one that's entered the agreement to sell,
Yes, the bank.
or the bank?
The bank.
I want to know if it's the homeowner that's going into foreclosure is involved in this, or is it the bank?
Yeah, I'll have Chris speak to that.
Yeah, sorry, I just brought that up.
Madam Mayor and City Council, actually, I'm representing you as the city. There was a listing agent that is representing the property, was on the market, fair market, and then I was notified that it was available. We've been working for several years on acquisitions, and since this property was in the redemption period, we actually offered it to the seller, so they're going to be able to walk away rather than it going back to the bank.
Okay, so it's during the,
They started the process, correct?
But they have started the
The bank
process,
had started the
absolutely.
process.
yeah, so it's the 6-month redemption period?
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
So we'll be bailing out, this will help bail out the property owner.
Yes.
And you negotiated directly with the bank, correct, at some point?
No, with the listing agent.
Listing agent. But she was working with the bank as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim.
We'll use CDBG funds through our community development office to raise the property, grass it over like we have with the rest.
Any other questions, concerns?
Mayor Rep,
Yes, Councilmember
I guess my
Harrison.
concern is there's some other landlocked properties that are nearby, and what's our attempt on trying to get those to consolidate these pieces together?
So you bring up an excellent question. One, our strategy is long-term, and we want to be respectful to those residents. Some of those residents have informed us that they have no intention of ever moving, and to check the obituary when they want to buy it. And we respect that. We respect that. This is, when opportunity comes up, we take those opportunities. And as you can see over time, that strategy of respect and waiting, it has worked. We're not in some hot rush to get it. When the opportunity comes up, we'll assemble it. We're not going to disrespect people by being hostile and aggressive in getting their properties. If they want to come to us, and over time, some people have said, I said I wasn't going to sell, but can't live here anymore, can't take care of it, and I want to move closer to kids. And so they've, but the opportunity's out there, and this is a long-term strategy. We're going to be very respectful and mindful, and we will wait till those opportunities come about.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add to that, yeah, and it started off very disrespectful, the way the city was going out there like, hungry, telling people they offer them this and offer them that, and little did they know we talked to each other, they give them this amount of money and then this one, that amount of money, it just got to be a big game. So, yeah, there are a few that are still out there, and I think the council agreed that you can't go and approach them, they'll have to come to you. So that's the status now, and the people that are there now, I mean, they've been in their houses like 70 years, they're just older people. And it's just like Granny on, what's that, on Beverly Hillbillies, they'd have to take everything with them, they're not moving out of them houses. So, and I don't think we should do anything different than what we're doing in trying to assemble that property. You leave it to them. If they want to come, then we should be ready to do business with them with the highest integrity.
Mayor Rep, I'm sorry, I just had a follow-up here. Just as I'm thinking, this is a person, is there somebody currently living in the house with their possession that then actually their stuff's in there, it's not a relative's home that no longer is there?
You have to get up again.
I'm sorry.
Madam Mayor and
I just, when
Council.
it's a foreclosure, that's a, initial, and then there's a redemption period.
Right, they are occupying the property, however, they have plans and they've already made arrangements to go to Florida. They
Okay.
actually have some health issues that they're dealing with right now, and they want to be out as soon as possible. If you note the date on the transaction, we're trying to speed it up as quickly as possible so that they
I
can.
think it's by tomorrow.
So
It's on there.
they really
Speeding
want to
it
get
up.
out of there, they want to get to Florida, they want to move on, and this is the best way that they feel fit. Or
So is the bank okay pretty much with this as well? I mean, this deal's gonna, for both the property and the house?
Yes.
This thing, they're all good with the city?
The bank signed off on the agreement
Yes,
as well.
yeah.
And to be quite frank, this was a late addition to your packet, and the reason was for that is we want to be respectful of the homeowners. If they want to get out and go to Florida, it's probably not a difficult time for them, so we can make that happen.
Thank you for the info.
No problem.
Thank you. We will take the vote.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ward?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Beeden?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. That concludes our regular agenda. A couple of announcements. A special meeting will be held this Thursday, May 16th at 5 p.m. in Conference Room 408 to discuss the budget. And city offices will be closed on May 27th in observance of Memorial Day, and the next city council meeting will therefore be held on Tuesday, May 28th. The city's beautification commission is in need of volunteers to assist with preparing various flower beds for the season on Saturday, May 18th, which is this Saturday. If you're interested, meet in front of the courthouse at 9 a.m., and I'm sure they would love to have you volunteering. And I just wanted to mention on a side note that SEMCOG, Southeastern Michigan Council of Governments, has instituted its Walk, Bike, Drive campaign again for this month. And I guess it does bring to note that it will be someday time for to get outside when it's warmer, and there will be a lot of people riding bikes and walking and that, so it's a time to be cautious. And I do have actually some bands and things that light up and that I had before and brought in. I unfortunately left them in my car, but I will pass them out, and there'll be some available in the city offices for anyone who wishes to have one. And is there anything else to come before the council?
Mayor Rupp?
Councilmember Ward?
Just a couple quick things. I just, again, with the turnout today, and I'd like to thank everybody who came forward, whether it was a specific item they want to talk about or a public comment. When you guys come forward to us as council, that's when we hear it, so I appreciate the people that came forward and spoke on those public comment open timeframes. And we do, as far as up here, I do appreciate it an awful lot. I know we do, because it's a way for us to hear directly from you guys. So besides that, just want to close the meeting out. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Mayor Rapp,
Councilmember Harris?
just one final comment. I understand that the food drive was highly successful, much like some of the other events that went on over the weekend. I guess the turnout was good, and the amount of food they picked up was enormous. So I just want to thank everybody in the community for sticking their food out there and doing whatever you can to help out. And I know the letter carriers will be back next year for another round. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate them doing that. Is there anything else?
Madam Mayor and Council, I'd just like to take a moment to congratulate Chief Platzer and the Port Huron Police Department. At the last week's Community Mental Health Awards, our police chief and our police department was given an award for their excellent ability, partnership with the mental health community on educating the officers, and it's a very distinguished award, and Platzer doesn't like to brag, so I will do it for him. So congratulations, Chief, to you and your team.
Mayor, we'd like to congratulate the 75th anniversary of the Community Foundation for all that they do for the city of Port Huron, and also the awardees that night, Don Fletcher and Marty Weiss, to congratulate them again, and also a big, huge applause for our own city flats out that area. I think at least all of them were there, but it's really nice in there, and We're just doing great things. I mean, it won't stop, and I hope it doesn't stop here. There's a lot happening. It's not just downtown. We're trying to get into our neighborhoods and make a difference, too. So we just continue to support us. And if you got anything to say, to come here to City Council. It doesn't have to be what we want to hear, but it's what you want to tell us so we can help make that difference for you. So thank you very much.
Is there any other comments? A motion to adjourn.
So move.
Meeting adjourned.